name is Andrea Barnes. I'm with the Family Violence Law Center located in Oakland, California.
Kocher Community Congregational Church in Tiburon.
Hi, my name is DeAndre Wright. I'm with Christian Body Life Fellowship Church from Vacaville, California.
Hi, I'm Gail Guest Brown. I'm with From Bruised and Battered to Blessed Ministries out of Sacramento, California.
Pastor Juanita Mason. I'm with the Antelope Upper Room Ministry. We're from Sacramento, California, and our project is Love Never Fails.
My name is Paula Yang, and I come from an organization called Hmong Sisterhood out of Fresno Central Valley in California.
Hi, my name is Sheila. I'm from Gardena. My organization is Choices Domestic Violence Solutions.
Hi, my name is Susan Ha from Dodi in Silicon Valley, South Bay, San Jose.
My name is Tuesday Nolden. I'm with Love Never Fails Project from Sacramento, California, operated by Pastor Mason, Juanita Mason in Antelope, California.
Okay, see, now you're making me go. I'm trying not to get sad, but I had a cousin that I tried to save for about 15 years. I did everything that I thought I could, and then she ended up being killed by her abuser. And then so I came into this thinking, trying to find out more sources and resources that I could use to help, to find out how I could have done better. And now I just got here and I'm here. And I feel that if out of every 20 people that I help, if I could just save one person, that I'm doing something good.
Have survived violence, violent marriage. And there was violence growing up in my family. So after I was out of my marriage and somewhat recovered, I worked for a violence prevention program and taught in middle and high schools for a women's task force in New York.
Domestic violence, I'm in this because my mom, she was a victim of domestic violence. And so I thought, since my mom went through it, maybe being a teenager, I can go out and talk to the other teenagers and all the other young adults, try to help prevent domestic violence, because I know a lot of them have family members that are struggling through that right now.
My story is that I began this ministry out of a calling on my life to do the work because as I'm a survivor advocate, and my church, when I was going through this situation, the crisis in my life, really didn't have an adequate response to victims. They really didn't understand the dynamics of those relationships, and so God put it on my heart to do something about that.
I was kind of inducted by the Spirit of God that made it so plain and proper that He allowed me to get a grant through the state of California, EPIC and TC-TAD, and in doing that, He gave me the people, He gave me the opportunity, and then I saw the need for children, parents, and families to be, come out of the violence of domestic violence, which corrupts the family and hurts people. So then I got aboard it, and I'm working it, and God has been good.
It inspires me because I'm another Hmong woman, and I see these wonderful, talented women that have so many dreams that cannot live it by them being in their situation that they can't get out of, and at the end they die and they leave beautiful children and many, many children behind. That it breaks my heart because I'm also a parent.
I became a survivor myself when I was about 17 years old. I didn't understand domestic violence then. I didn't know what it was. And as I grew older, I thought it only involved people who were being beaten or battered. I didn't know that you could be emotionally or financially trapped in a relationship. By the time I found out, I was married with 2 children. So, in other words, trapped. So this is why it's so important for young people to be able to recognize domestic violence and know what it is so that they can make better decisions than I did.
We do have our program going on, and yet sometimes we like to see some other area communities, how they are doing, so we can share our experience with other communities.
I am an advocate and a survivor of domestic violence, and I feel a very strong need and passion to reach the youth, the generation underneath me, due to the fact I was a teen survivor first before I became an adult victim. So I survived it in my teenagers, but I also was re-abused in my adult life. So I feel a need to reach the teens because that's where we can start the prevention so that we can stop the leak that's leaking into our adulthood and causing us to be re-abused as adults, and also watching the generations that are coming up behind us to have to also encounter this same abuse within their lives. So I see a need to give them the tools that they need to have so that they can make better choices, because without tools we can't make a choice.
Well, they need to come together more as a unit, and I don't find a lot of that in Alameda County, so that they could go to the young people and start teaching them the word and what it is to have a healthy relationship, because a lot of young adults don't know what it is to have a healthy relationship.
As faith leaders, it's probably, I don't know if there's a single religion or faith that promotes violence or that says, or that isn't for peace. And so it's or leaders like Christ or Buddha or whoever, Muhammad, whoever, they all promoted peace. So it's our obligation, if we're faith leaders. That's the good news that we're supposed to be, helping to promote in the world.
I think helping one person at a time could get the message out there, and just letting our light shine as Christians. I mean, to get our message out there, it doesn't take too much. I mean, just sharing a story with somebody can help get the message out there.
I came to a training from TC TAT, and they've been doing this work with interfaith communities for a while. And I was the recipient of a small grant, and with that grant we were able to put together church trainings to allow us to train other churches on how to have a response to domestic violence when it occurred in their congregation.
They can allow domestic violence advocates to come in. They can allow them to educate them. They can allow themselves to break the silence and let the congregants know that it's okay to talk about it, and then secure resources that will help get those that are victims out of the victimized situation. Those that need help, get them the help that they need.
Faith leaders and also schools, not just the faith leaders, but the schools should provide education, should provide domestic violence training and date training. People need to be educated, and they need to learn how to take care of themselves and how to be responsible, act like adults. When you act like adults, you have to think like adults.
I think one of the way we can do it is there's a lot of sources. We have lots of information. How can we prevent this using all the agencies? There's information not many people knows about this. So one of the goal is how to connect all these agencies so that minimize all the domestic violence.
Every one of us has a role to play. You as the radio, and you reach out to the community at the teens level. We are advocacy out here. We could do that too.
Well, for one, it depends on what type of family you come from. Because if you don't have a strong family background, then when you start experiencing some domestic violence and you go to a family member and you say that something has happened, a lot of families, they shy away from you. And it's the old family versus the new family, because some families, they feel that it's like, okay, keep it in the family, keep it to yourself, don't go out there and try to go to a agency. We could solve it here, and people don't have the knowledge of what to do for domestic violence, so it ends up really hurting. Some families hurt a victim as opposed to helping them when they think they are helping.
A very basic role, because what goes on in our families is what we learn as children, and what, barring any kind of intervention or change or other influences, that's what will continue in the world.
It's a huge influence. I mean, if you can't feel comfortable with your own family, then you can't feel comfortable with anybody else. I mean, because you grow up with your family members, and that's who you most likely gonna be like. You're gonna be like your brothers. You're gonna be like your dad. And if you see your dad, hitting your mom, then you might think that's comfortable, and you might want to start hitting your girlfriend or something like that. So I see the influence of the family is huge. I mean, if you see your dad hugging and kissing on his wife, then you're gonna start hugging and kissing on your girlfriends and on your wives, and it's just gonna be an influence that can carry through generations.
The family plays a very important role because we model what and how our children should be treated and ourselves.
Well, your family should be supportive to you. They should help you and educate you. But most people who are involved in violent relationships come from families that are not supportive. Most women who are being battered, the reason they don't leave their batterer is because it's just as bad where they came from. Their parents were abusers or whatever, and they didn't get the proper training. They weren't educated properly.
Without happy, healthy family, I don't think we will have a good community, happy communities.
That they got somebody here that they can rely on, that if they go through a situation like teen dating violence, that they can go to an adult or go to a fellow friend that's mature enough to handle the situation, to where the message is there, that they have help, and that this situation that they go through can be solved.
Young girls should not only learn about date rape, but they should also learn about responsibility. It's not just a man's responsibility to respect a woman, it's a woman's responsibility to make sure that she is respected and that she respects herself.
Teenager boys or teenage girls, we need to know what is healthy relationship and what we can do to find out if we're not in the right relationship, to find healthy relationships, so that's an early prevention for the young and the youth. And I hope that young girls out there, that if you're dating or being with some guy who puts their hands on you, that's not healthy relationship, because it would escalate to that point like the other woman who got killed. Find ways and find help around the central area where you live.
The resources are out there. I can tell you that for sure. I was a victim. People didn't listen, they didn't understand, but there are resources out there. Get connected to your inner faith. If you're a faith person, if you're a person that don't believe or whatever, inside of us all there's empowerment. So we have to look within ourselves to find that feeling that tells us, okay, we can be able to do something about this. And the resources is where you start. So the shelters, you have hotline numbers. You can go on to Google domestic violence. You have numbers there that you can actually call to get help and get resources as well. So, and also keep your faith, because again, the battle is not yours, and again, you're gonna win it if you just do not give up. So don't give up, and know that me as an advocate, I stand with you, I pray for you, I believe God that He's gonna get you out of the situation that you're in. So that's the faith that I can live with them, and the belief to knowing that they will do as I did and get empowered and go forth.
One thing that I would like to share with the adults, or just for them to know that, like, the youth, like teenagers, we don't want to be like jammed with books and papers and stuff. Like, we learn better when we actually can move and get involved and get our blood pumping. That's really what make us young people like pay attention and focus, when we can be interactive rather than just sitting down listening to somebody drag or read.
One thing I would like to share with the adults, that is the youth would like to be heard, and that they would like their opinions to be noticed by the adults. Even if the adults don't even use it, they just want their voices to be heard.
My supervisor has always told me that the most significant factor in mitigating long-lasting effects of trauma in young people is a caring, consistent adult in their life.
One thing I would like to share is that everybody that's doing this work, it really does make a difference. I don't think people realize, and I didn't realize when I started doing this work, that I made a difference until actually someone at an outreach event told me that I was.
One of the things that I'm taking from this workshop with youth and engaging youth using media and digital technology is to not be academic nor be clinical when I'm speaking to young people, and speak the way that I normally speak, and not try to be young, hip, or in today's language with the kids, and just be who I am.
I've learned another couple of ways to be in touch with my grandkids, and I'm going to try to set up a myfamily.com website with my 17 members to begin with, and see where it goes.
I definitely got to understand that teenagers are in a different world, and I really like the idea, and it really needs in our community that the teenagers need to be reached out to, and learning the way that they operate differently, that we have to change in order to get them to feel in on what we want to be changed. So I'm excited about that.
I think the thing that stands out for me the most is framing our message in a way that is relevant to the young people that I hope to serve.
Well, one thing that I'm taking away from this workshop is the importance of ownership, and that when you're working with youth, that it's really important to help them find their voice and give them a full voice let them fully express what they're feeling, what they're going through, and that it's important to be honest as well, and to have an honest dialogue with them, and that I think together that we can find solutions to teen dating violence or domestic violence, and that that they own the agenda as well. We all own it together.
One thing I learned is some more tactics to actually when I do workshops with youth, like about just more interactive things and how to calm myself down from calming them down.
I took a lot from this workshop. I confirmed what I already knew, and that working with teens is so energizing and fun. So I learned a new word today called code switching, and simply that you can't do everything in every environment, and that our teens are quite capable of being responsible in the way they communicate if you give them the responsibility, put the responsibility on them to communicate maturely. And another thing I learned was that 70% of teens, urban teens, are suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome. That was a very eye-opening, and that mastery is another way to deal with that issue in our teens. And art was a way that Maven feels is very good in dealing with that issue. So big takeaways. I love the workshop today.